Hello everyone, and here we have a new story. Before we get to that, I want to ask you to subscribe, like, and be sure to write comments in order to participate in the development of the community. Write how to improve my community, current topics in the stories you are interested in, and much more. I read and listen to all the comments. People write me stories by mail from different countries. There are problems with translation. I apologize for this. I will work on it and try to fix these errors. I want to thank everyone for their support and the people who wrote to me by mail. Broadcast news stories. New videos on my channel are published once every 2 days at 7 p.m. Don't forget to put a bell in order not to miss new videos. And now let's go. Hello, I want to tell you my story. About 2 years ago, I divorced my wife. When we got married, our marriage promised to be long and happy. I was in love like a puppy. She loved me too. It seemed to me at that moment. And now 5 years have passed. I ran home after work to hug my beloved wife, but it all ended like in a joke husband returned from a business trip. Well, I think everyone understands what happened next. I found my wife in our bed with some guy. Well, to be more precise, the guy managed to hide in the closet, but not successfully. I pulled him out of the closet and threw it away him on the landing with his bare ass. At that moment, my wife was screaming hysterically and grabbing my hands. Obviously, she was afraid that I would kill her lover, but I wasn't going to kill him. I even felt sorry for him. He stood naked on the landing and pulled on his pants with shaking hands. At the same time, all the neighbors were watching this. When I calmed down a bit, I asked my wife if she wanted to stay or we'll move to her parents. We rented an apartment on the outskirts of the city, so we had nothing to share. My wife was sticking with her shoulders and, as if nothing had happened, declared that I would stay. Why should I move? What happened? And calm down and take a sober look at things. She acted like nothing had happened. After that, I got really angry. You have 10 minutes to leave this apartment, I said through my teeth. I remember that at that moment I was convulsively trying to remove the ring from my finger. At the same time, I was fighting the urge to kick my wife out of the house. She shrugged her shoulders again and went into the bedroom and turned on the music. That's rubbish, I thought. What kind of nerves do you need to have? I walked briskly into the kitchen and remembered that I had a bottle of good whiskey. A couple of minutes later, my wife appeared on the threshold of the kitchen. Then she brazenly said, "Pour it for me too. Have you come to your senses yet?" she asked. I was stunned and I wanted to throw her out of the window. "Why did you come back so early?" "I was waiting for you tomorrow," she added. I stood up and answered her right in her face. I wanted to surprise. As you can see, I managed to do it. That's for sure. My wife replied with a grin. "If you don't cool off before morning, I'll leave." "It wasn't easy living with you," she said. "I've been bored with you for a long time." I listened to these revelations, barely holding back tears. What an idiot I was, I thought. After finishing a glass of whiskey, I headed for the living room. At the same time as I was leaving, I told her that I was going to spend the night with my friend. "In the morning, when you're done packing, call me." That night, I stayed at my best friend's place. We spent the whole night drinking whiskey and talking about stupid girls. We also discussed our illusions about the female sex. By the way, my friend was also divorced, but his wife kicked him out because he cheated on her. When we had already drunk a lot of whiskey, my friend started saying that my wife was trying to seduce him. It was once when I got drunk and fell asleep at a party. That day we celebrated the new year in a country house. My friend did not take the sin on his soul and refused my wife, after which she was very upset. Since then, my wife hates my friend. I was stunned by what I heard. I didn't even know that, and I thought she was a holy girl. "Okay," I said, "I don't care," and waved my hand. Thank God that now all the secrets have come out. Then I would have lived like a fool with horns. It's a good thing we don't have children. Let him fall on all four sides and stay out of my sight. I thought, still, I should have punched this guy in the face. But my friend fell asleep, and I had no one to complain about my life. I returned home in the morning. There were bare walls and a hungry cat waiting for me. My wife took everything she could. Well, it's okay, I thought. I didn't feel sorry for this stuff. I was offended that I had wasted many years. A week later, she called me. She started asking for forgiveness and saying she missed me. Her voice was charming as always, but for some reason I felt sick at that moment. "Let's start all over again," she added. "No thanks," I replied. After the answer, I shuddered with disgust for her. "Please don't call me anymore," I said. "Oh, so you're with me," she replied furiously. "You will regret your choice." A month after the official divorce, some nonsense started happening to me. Someone was watching me all the time. It seemed to me that someone was constantly with me. Of course, I did not see anything supernatural, but I felt that even in an empty apartment, I was not alone. Once, for work, I had to climb a 9-story building. We accepted roof repairs from the builders. I was talking to the contractor and I walked over to the edge of the roof. Suddenly, I felt someone gently pushing me in the back. Almost falling down, I ran away from the edge and looked back furiously. I wanted to yell at the Joker a lot, but there was no one around. The workers looked at me in complete disbelief. They thought I was afraid of heights. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and muttered that I was just dizzy. My deputy patted me on the back worriedly and said the pressure must have risen. He advised me to visit a doctor because it's better not to mess with blood pressure. I remember the whole that day by the minute. Because I was on the verge of death a couple more times. At first, I almost got run over by a truck, and a little later, I was robbed by some drug addict. I was lucky, and miraculously, I was not injured. My physical training helped me. I fought this addict and won. Then I called the police. After arriving, they looked at me with condemnation. A little later, it turned out that this drug addict was wanted, and they thanked me. A night without sleep also made itself felt. On my way to work, I ran into the oncoming lane. A good reaction saved me from a head-on collision. Everything worked out. It's a scratched door and a dented bumper. But the main thing is that I stayed alive. I didn't even start arguing with the bus driver who was throwing himself into a fight with me. I understood that I was to blame for creating an emergency situation. At that moment, I was thinking about my ex-wife's threats. It seemed to me that she was like a witch who cast a spell on me, and everything that happened was because of her. She wanted to destroy me, and her intense hatred was like a curse. 2 years have passed, and my wife has a new husband, but I still feel some kind of devilry in my life. I still rarely get into strange and dangerous situations. These situations seem to be organized by someone in advance. I do not know, maybe I'm very superstitious. But on the other hand, it is better to realize that the enemy is not asleep. In general, I'm slowly starting a new life. But something is bothering me anyway. Tell me, did someone have something similar? Write your comment. If you like the story, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, so as not to miss new videos. Now let's move on to the opinion of the author of the channel. The opinion of the author of the channel. According to tradition, I want to wish strength and patience to our hero. After listening to your story, I realize that your wife is completely soulless. She is a very cruel and treacherous girl. If something seems supernatural to you and you see any hallucinations, then I advise you to see a doctor immediately. But if it's just your feelings, and as you say, you're just very superstitious, then you need to let go of your ex-wife and stop thinking about her. You need to be careful, and it's all just a coincidence. Don't think about the bad things, just start a new life. Just stop thinking about her and start thinking about yourself first. All these curses that you've made up for yourself are nonsense. If you have watched to the end, I want to say thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this exciting journey of love, betrayal, and redemption. I appreciate your support and encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this story. Your participation and feedback are invaluable for shaping our content and promoting mutual understanding and community growth. Until we meet again.